Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 2 of Man 101. When I tell you I just went to school during the break, my goodness. So as I promised, part 2, we are going to get down and dirty and ask some questions and expose some things. I was allowed to get a sneak peek on some of the game. I wasn't permitted to hear everything because I think they held back on some things. I don't think my skin is as thick as it needs to be to hear some of what they wanted to say. But I'm in a room full of men who are willing to share their wisdom. And that wisdom is important to me because as women, those of us who desire to be a wife, we really need to understand what that means, not just from the perspective of who God has called us to be as virtuous women that Proverbs 29 verse 10 through 31 tells us, but we need to really understand through the eyes of men what they are thinking, what they are believing, what pot we get put in when we do certain things, when we say certain things, when we carry ourselves a certain way. And no matter what race we are, it is my firm belief that while we don't choose our color, we do choose our character. And the character of a woman that we are choosing to be is going to attract a certain type of man. So we can't be that woman who is looking for the sixes, as I was told. And those are 3 sixes, 6 feet tall, 6 figures, and 6 inches. Yes, okay. This is an adult conversation.
Okay. We're going.
But the reality is if we're out there and that's the standard that we've set, what are we bringing to a relationship that a man that has all of those things is going to be attracted to us? Especially when the world, we know that women outnumber men. So a man has his pick of multiple women. So we want to make sure that we are whole and healthy and confident about who we are without having to sacrifice or compromise in any way just to be in a relationship with a man. And so I'm about to ask these 2 gentlemen some hard questions. One, my older brother, one, my husband, who's just going to be candid. I told them no holds barred. Tell us the truth, what we need to know through the lens of men. So when a woman approaches you, gentlemen, now, back in the day, because you both married now, so I'm assuming you're not being approached these days. If you are, I want to know about it.
No, they still approach me.
However, before you were married, when a woman approached you with the conversation of, what do you bring to the table? What was your first impression and how did you respond to that woman?
A woman asked me what I brought to the table.
Right.
A lot of dick.
Okay. All right.
That's, because I was well aware from the time I was single that I was in control of this whole thing.
Sure.
It's more women than it is men. I was in no hurry to be married. Mm-hmm. I had more than enough women lined up to be a sex partner. So I was never going to let a woman come to me and demand anything from me, period. That was the headspace that I was in. Okay. Even when I got married, when I started dating my wife, it happened organically. Yeah. She was my friend,
right?
Okay.
My client, and it evolved over a 3-year process. Okay. While we were friends and while she was my client, she was well aware of the escapades and some of the stuff that I was doing.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, because I was open with it.
Okay.
I was a single man, and my thing was, hey, I'm Mr. Right now. I'm not Mr. Right. What do I bring to the table? I told you what I bring to the table. Mm-hmm. What do you bring to the table? And I said, never mind. I don't ask no woman what you bring to the table.
No, I've never asked that.
And that's because I knew what I wanted from her, right?
Mm.
I didn't want money from her because I got my own money,
okay.
Right? I didn't want children from her. I have my own kids. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. So either I wanted sex or a companion. And I wasn't looking for a companion, so I wanted sex. So why would I even ask them what they bring to the table?
Right.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. I knew what I wanted.
Truth be told, I've never been asked.
Okay.
And I had a structure. I mean, when I thought potentially things were going in a decent direction, I let them know up front, this is sex. That's what this is. You may see me out with somebody else tomorrow night. I may see you out with somebody else tomorrow. It is what it is. When we are together, we will be together. Now, we were talking before that there were a number of young ladies that tried to change that. Mm. They were like, no, now I want to be your one and only. But I'm like, wait a minute. you entered into this. So I assume that after that, the question of who's bringing what to the table was insignificant because I was never asked.
So we got the pot of, you said the women that you use the word smash. I'm learning so much. I'm telling you all. Okay. The pot of women who is just the smash category, and there's the pot of women who would be in the smaller pool of women who would be in the wife category. Mm-hmm. How does a woman know the difference? How does she know which category she's in your world? Yes, I'm telling you, look, educate us, because I don't want women to be deceived into believing that she's wifey material and all she gets is sex and an occasional bill paid, and she's always in the house she's that, I don't want the women to be deceived. And this show is about educating us about how to be better, virtuous women. And we need to first identify where we are to know the reality of what we need to change about what we're walking out. So how does a woman know which pot she's in?
Well, I think, in my personal opinion, that's going to vary based upon the man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right? Because for me, I wasn't approaching women in the smash pool.
Okay.
I wasn't approaching women at all. It was just if it bit, it bit.
Okay.
But when I was looking for a wife, I wasn't looking for a wife. It was one of those things that there were some voids in my life that were there.
Okay.
And then my wife happened, right? And I say it happened organically. But there's a way that a woman can present that will enhance her chances of being placed in the smash pool.
Absolutely.
And removed from the marriage pool. So
absolutely.
How you dress, how you present, like we all know, you go on an interview, you wear a suit and tie, you want to put your best foot forward. If your best foot forward on social media is your butt,
half naked,
your chest, you half naked, that's how you're presenting. And no matter how you are interpreting this as you putting it out there, men are perceiving it in a very sexual way.
Okay.
So it'd be safe to say you're quickly putting your own self in the smash pool. Mm-hmm. If you want to remove yourself from the smash pool or don't even be interpreted, it's a whole nother way you project.
Right.
You present your personality first.
Okay.
You present your likes, your dislikes, your interests.
Right.
So you're saying the character of a woman does matter?
It does. When you're talking about making a wife, when you want a wife, it's a companion, not just a sex partner.
I think most men that I know are builders. And they, again, whether they're in the smash pool or not, they want to build a life that's conducive. Most men want the same things out of life. And in that relationship, they want a partnership that will be part of that building, to be the rock of that building. Now, if you're coming in and you got to be on social media with your thong out, that's not the kind of building most men want. Now, you will be smashed.
Okay.
You get more smashed than Smuckers. You're going to get smashed. But ultimately, that man's not, I can't build with her.
Okay.
She's not showing me anything about it. If I come into this 6 figures, she's going to be able to manage that. She's going to buy a whole bunch of thongs.
Okay.
But she's not going to be a part of that. And when we met, and just to be really brief, when we met, I was actually working. And she came to my job bringing some kids from her ministry and things like that. There were no legs hanging out. There was no thong. There was no chest hanging out. All those sorts of things. I believe you just came from church or something of the sort. But long story short, it was somebody, and I said this to my coworker, that's somebody with class. That's the kind of person we need around here, because ironically, there was a talent show going on. And there was a whole bunch of ladies bringing in their daughters. And these daughters were 12 and they were 11 and they were 13 years old. And they had 6-inch heels on and they had Daisy Dukes and all that sort of stuff. And their mom was like, pop that thing, girl, pop that thing, girl. And I was like, this what we doing? Now, what are they going to attract with that behavior? I know most of them now. They still trying to pop whatever thing they got left. And they got some man sitting on the couch playing Nintendo all day or whatever it is, PS5 all day, and they complaining. But ultimately, I look back on what that was. But she walked in and she was dressed differently. She conducted herself differently. When things were wrong with the people she was with, she corrected it. And I said, this is class. This is, and again, somebody who wants to build something reputable, a young man, that's what he's going to look for. It don't mean he won't smash, but she's not going to get, he's not building with her.
You can't get what she's not offering. So if she's not in the smash pool, she don't put herself in the smash pool.
That's right. And what was sad is these mothers were bringing to this talent show a bunch of women, training them to be smashed. Young girls. Yeah. And I mean, some of these girls, they didn't have a cleavage yet, but they were pushing all that skin together, and their mama was putting whatever they could. And I was actually, I had a daughter the same age, and I was like, absolutely not. And I told you, don't bring these kids here. Mm-hmm. Not to this, especially not the young ladies. And I'm sad to say, this is 20 years ago now. Right. So, you know what I mean? I pray for the youngsters that are out there today, because that mindset was out there then. And then, I mean, it was encouraged, it was celebrated. You know what I mean? We're at a talent show at a city park. And when the girls would go up there performing their talent, their mamas was throwing dollars on the stage. Wow. I had to get on the microphone and say, stop that. And again, I have to understand that even these mothers now were mothering in their pain.
Absolutely.
That's what they learned to do. It was successful some way.
Absolutely.
And something needed to happen for them as well. But I know that went way longer than I intended to.
Well, no, that's the whole point of this conversation, because our young ladies, until we know better, we can't do better. I had the level of protection from brothers that beat up any boy that liked me. And so there was no chance for me to exploit a boyfriend or any of that earlier on. Of course, as soon as they went off to the military and wherever they went, I found myself in horrible relationships because I had not been taught, one, how to be a woman of good character. And I'm not faulting my mother, but that just was not part of what I was taught. The message I got about men was that they were good for two things: penis and bubble gum. And half the time they had no gum. The other half the time they didn't know how to work their penis. That was literally my sex talk. Scenario. And as candid as I am being, that is the truth. That is the sex talk I received. So there was no conversation about how to have a healthy relationship. There was no conversation about what an unhealthy relationship looked like, except what I witnessed. And so I come into adulthood as a young woman desiring to be loved, desiring to be valued, desiring to be appreciated, but I knew nothing about how to get there. And by the grace of God, I was protected in those early teen years, or I probably would have been a teen mom, because I did come into relationships thinking sex meant love. That was the only equation that I had. And so consequently, I know I'm not the only woman that experienced that as a young woman. If he had sex with me, then he must love me, because I want to love him, and therefore I'm having sex with him. But men think about it differently. And that's why these conversations are so important. That's why I called it Man 101. We need to understand as women how men think, and understand that men think differently than us. And it's not wrong, it's just different. But until we can interpret in the right language, we're not going to take the right actions to be able to be found as a wife. The Bible says a man that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. He didn't say a woman that picks a husband. He didn't say a woman that's chasing the bag, that finds the big bag. Because there have been men with money that ain't worth nothing. The character was not there.
But he started out with a man. Every male is not a man.
Every male is not a man. So let's talk about that. And I also want to talk about a comment you made in Man 101, Part 1, where you said your daughters were too masculine. Tell me what you meant by that.
Well, there are certain things that men need from women that are on the emotional side of that.
Okay.
But me raising my daughter and being as closely involved in her upbringing and in their upbringing and their molding as women, a lot of times I insisted that they remove emotion from the whole process and function in a logical space.
Okay.
And for a lot of men, that doesn't work for a lot of men. A lot of men, most of us need the feminine, the nurturing, the emotional side of a woman provided it's not manifesting itself in the form of violence and anger and disrespect.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
We got the amen corner over here.
Yeah.
So tell me what the preaching amen is all about. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, ultimately understanding that, because we didn't, I don't know if we talked about this in the last segment, but men are emotional. We experience the same emotions that women do. Now, how we translate them, how we articulate them, how we communicate them is different.
Thank you for saying that.
It's very different. And ultimately, it's not that we don't want and need that side recognized and honored. It's just that the way we communicate that will be very different than most of the young ladies will be. And I'm thinking, if I heard you correctly, is that they recognized more of the man side of it and neglected some of the things that a man would want from a woman.
There are times when a man needs a hug from his woman.
Absolutely.
Just the reassurances of a hug. Okay. I was not teaching my daughters that.
Okay.
Right? As an older man, you understand that when my wife comes and gives me a hug when I'm beat down and the day has been rough for me, that hug is priceless.
Okay.
Right? But if I'm not putting this in my daughters when they're younger, they don't understand that a man has this need or has this desire.
Right.
Okay.
Right? That's what we talked in the others on the other show about men communicating different than women. We do have the same need, just different timing, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we need hugs, we need kisses, we need reassurances. We like hair rubs, we like foot massages, we like back rubs. We like to hear everything's gonna be okay. We know you got it, baby, right?
Okay.
And no matter what happens, you got me. I'm with you.
Exactly. I'm with you to the end, to the wheels fall.
A man will die for you if he knows that in his woman. He'll die. He will get up in the morning and go to work. He'll put the PlayStation away. He'll learn something for her. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna say it because we out here. But I was thinking about your daughters being probably a little too masculine. I think my daughters were a little too feminine. I think they wanted a man to communicate. First of all, they watched Hallmark. Is that Hallmark? Lifetime channel all the time, and I was like, turn that off. Turn that off. You know what I mean? In the beginning of Tyler Perry movies, that's what they was watching all the time. And I was saying, listen, there's a piece of that for men that's missing. That is a young woman telling her story about a man. Now, you have to hear both sides. And I think to the degree they expected men to communicate their emotions the way women do. And when they did, you know what I mean? I said, a man is going to cry. But when he cries, that's a precious place. Handle that right. And you're not going to see a lot of it. Just know that. Just be able to be available for that. You were commenting on that Proverbs.
The Proverbs 31.
That Proverbs. There are a lot of scripture in there about how the type of woman that she is made things good for her husband. There's a lot of that in there. And I think that's a real important place to be if you want to move out of the smash category. First of all, you can't come around. You can't sell your body and think that you're not going to be in smash category. And you do have to develop this place for where, in women speak, it would be the safe place. But for men, you have to be down for me emotionally. You have to be able to let me be who I am and honor that. And then I can in turn do the same for you. I tell men all the time, young men, because young men usually want the behaviors of love. They don't know what love is yet. It takes a while for you to understand that. But they want, I don't know why she don't cook for me. A lot of times they look at you and say, why will my wife not do these things for me? And I said, if your wife isn't free enough to do those things for you, she's not secure in that you're going to be there for her. She's not secure enough in that fact that whenever it goes down, that somebody comes through that door, he's going to be the first person to deal with that.
Right.
If the money needs to be earned, he's going to be the first one out there to earn it. He's not secure in the fact that if that young lady walked by selling her ad, you ain't going to buy. She's not secure in that. And again, she's going to keep herself protected. You're not going to get as much. She's going to be concerned about the money. Why? Because I don't know if you're going to be able to be there to provide for me. When you leave me, I don't know what you're leaving me with. And we got these kids together now. You know what I mean? So again, security is a big deal for
women.
For women, and loyalty is a big thing for a man.
Okay.
You can those things can happen in the same space, but do you know enough about your mate or partner, whoever it is, to walk that out?
Have you taken the time to learn what that is? Because during the break, we were talking about the fact that getting to know a woman is investing your time, and your time has value. So I'm not going to just rush right out, or the man's not going to just rush right out to this 4-course meal at this high-priced place when he doesn't even know your last name yet. Versus have a few coffee dates, get to know this person, engage her, find out if she is really worth investing more than just a cup of coffee in. I think those things have value, and I think so much of the relationships that are ending in divorce now is because we're not taking the time to get to know who we are dating. We're rushing right into these dating situations, the speed dating, the online dating, all of these things that are going on. It's the quick fix. Let me find it. Let's not do the courtship.
Well, yeah.
But then figuring out later on after we get into this I lust you so much, and we're married so quickly, and then we're divorced even faster because we start to learn who the person is on the other side that we didn't take the time to get to know on the front end.
Yeah, I would say that both men and women need to suppress their sexual desires and urges long enough to decipher
That takes
whether or
discipline.
not this is somebody that I want to build a life with.
Yes.
Right? I think we are both guilty of not suppressing those urges and desires for the sake of short-term gratification or immediate gratification. I will say that women pay the steeper price.
Definitely.
Men do pay a price. It is not without cost for men.
Sure.
But women do pay a steeper price.
So let me ask this last question. We're going to have to do a part 3 or something of this, but this last question for the woman who gets put in the wifey category for the two of you. Try to speak to this as broadly as possible, because you two are already married, you're taken, so your wifey category is not relevant to anybody else except your wives. But for the general male that you know between the age of 30 and 60, what does wifey category look like? What are some of those attributes that a woman has or demonstrates?
I would say a virtuous woman, a pretty woman, a woman who is willing to do anything, everything to please her husband.
Husband.
That's not
boyfriend.
Or side dude or any of that. It's be willing to do whatever it takes to make it work. And I think that a lot of men come into the relationship space willing to do that.
Okay.
I just don't think that a lot of women are.
I agree with all that, and I would add to that she actually respects herself. She won't settle for smash. She won't settle for the smash pool. She doesn't want that.
Okay.
She wants something that is enduring in all those ways and long lasting, and that to run over into how the money will work, how the children will work, how all those things. She'll do all of those things again, and she'll approach you from that perspective. She's not going to come to you, you know what I mean, saying, hey, I'm your next smash category candidate.
We have so much more to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. What I want to ask you too, as we bring this episode to a close, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to a woman who desires to be married, but she's that 6-figure earner, she's that degreed woman, and society has told her that she has to have a man that has those same things in order for him to be worthy of her time?
I'll qualify this, and I'm going to look away from Tasha when I say this. I come from a bunch of men who had a whole bunch of women. They would what we would call today players. And I would say for that woman, I mean, even biblically, it says a man who finds a wife. It has said nothing about what she earns. It says nothing about any of those things. It means she's a wife. That means she's all those things that we just talked about. And because if a woman is all those things, that truly, when a man finds her, he's found a good thing. And good things are going to come his way. But I grew up without sisters. My mother was the only woman in the house. I have brothers and my uncles and things like that. They were my and they made it clear. These are women that you take home to your mama, and these are the ones you don't. And so all of those things that we talked about, those were things that you take home to your mother.
Yeah, I would say carry yourself like a wife before you are a wife. I mean, you can go to work, you can pursue your career goals, you can be the boss woman that all you want to be, but understand there's certain characteristics that a man is desiring in a wife, which is the nurturing, the loving, the caring. I'm not gonna say so much the submissiveness, because a lot of men are not looking for a submissive woman, right? But we all want the nurturing and the caring and the respectful, that whole picture. You can be all of that and still be the career woman.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right? You don't have to carry the male characteristics of while you're being a CEO. You don't have to be the man CEO with the vagina. You can be the female CEO and function in her divine femininity.
All right.
And still be nurturing and caring and all of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have to do part 3, 4, 5, and 6 because I need some more education. I'm going to go and recover from what I learned over the break, but I invite you all back. In fact, I invite you all to send us some comments, send us some questions you want answered on the panel. We're going to increase this group. I'm going to add some more men to this conversation, and I think I would like to just be the one to ask the questions. I'm excited about where we're going. I'm excited about what I'm learning, and I'm excited to be with all of you on your journey to virtuous. So stay tuned for more, but until then, take care. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, Journey to Virtuous. Please like and subscribe. If you'd like to know more about the work that I'm doing, please visit me on social media at thezioninstitute.org or Whisper Consulting, or also Shawn Pearson Journey Coach. You can also find me on one of my websites, thezioninstitute.org, thezioninstitute.org, or whisperconsulting.com. That's WISPHER consulting.com. Thank you for your support.